everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're continuing our freezer meal journey, and I'm calling this a dual freezer meal. This is my chicken and sausage gumbo, a family favorite. You may have watched me do this in another video a long time ago, but today I'm going to show you how to create a freezer meal out of this, and we're going to talk about how to turn this into a dual freezer meal, because you can make it before you cook it and freeze it. Then you can cook it, and then you can freeze the leftovers for another freezer meal. And that's what makes this purely magical. So I can't wait to show you how this all comes together. Okay, today we're gonna be making a freezer meal. I'm gonna show you how to prepare it in a bag, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my slow cooker because at the end of the day I want to show you what it looks like when it's all cooked. Now, I have made this recipe on my channel before. It may have been a little bit different, but this has turned into one of our family's favorites, and one of the reasons I love it is because you can turn this into a freezer meal, and this is a really great opportunity to discuss how you can look at the things that your family loves, the things that you love making for your family, and how you can really break them down and create a freezer meal out of them, because you have a lot of opportunity in your everyday life. What does your family love? Do they love golden mushroom chicken? Do they love chicken and rice that you cook in the crock pot and then make rice on the side? Do they love whatever it is that you make in the slow cooker or pressure cooker, and can you turn that into a freezer meal? And the answer almost every single time is yes. So today I'm gonna just show you how to put this together as a freezer meal. I'm not gonna freeze it, but I'm gonna cook it. And then also it brings up the other topic of, if you have all these things on hand, it's always easy to throw together a slow cooker meal, whether it's from the freezer or not. Whether you have thawed out meat, you can pull the meat out of the freezer frozen, stick it in your crock pot, put everything in there with it, and by the end of the day you have a delicious meal. Chicken and sausage gumbo, one of my family's favorites. I have 3 large chicken breasts that I have cut up into a large dice, so these are cubed. 1 link of beef Polska kielbasa, 28-ounce can of petite diced tomatoes, 1 8-ounce can of tomato and green chili. I have 1 green bell pepper that I've diced, the end of a bunch of celery, including the leaves that I just chopped up, 1 large onion that I diced, 1 bag, this is a 12-ounce bag, of frozen sliced okra. And then we're going to season this up with about 4 cloves of minced garlic, 1/4 cup of chicken bouillon powder. Now I'm doing this a little differently. If you're just making this without making a freezer meal, then go ahead and use a box of chicken stock. But I'm going to use this tomato and chicken bouillon. You can use regular chicken bouillon. It's about 1/4 cup. It's going to flavor it up real nice. And then you can always add a little bit of water to your slow cooker when you take it out of the freezer and get ready to cook it. And I have about a teaspoon each of marjoram, Italian seasoning, and my favorite Szeged chicken seasoning. And that's really it. This, like I said, is one of my family's favorites. And this always makes enough for 2 meals for a family of 4. So what you're going to want to do, you've seen us do this before. I am using a 2-gallon bag today because I want to make sure there's plenty of room here for all of this goodness. So in goes our Polish sausage, our kielbasa, whatever is your preference. Then we're going to put in all of our veggies, our okra, and it's not, this is obviously not a traditional gumbo, so goes our celery, our onion, and this, you want to give this a zhuzh and make sure it's all kind of tamped down well in there. In goes our garlic, our bouillon powder, seasoning, our tomato and green chili, and our petite diced. Again, give this a good zhuzh. And depending on how big your family is, you're going to want to determine how big of a bag that you want to use, but because I used a 2-gallon bag, I just did that because I want to make sure I have plenty of room in here. So I'm going to just kind of zip this up, and I'm going to give this a bit of a zhuzh. You want to get as much air out of it once you get this in here. because air is your enemy in the freezer. And then you can just pop this right in your freezer, and then the next day you can pull it out of the bread pan and store it as however you like. I'm gonna put this in my slow cooker, and I'm gonna cook this all afternoon. So it's gonna cook between 4 and 6 hours until the chicken is tender and everything is bubbly and delicious. If there are things in here you don't like, you should leave them out. If there are things that you like in here better, you should add them in. But it's not gumbo without okra, and I think it's delicious. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in my slow cooker. If you're cooking this from frozen, you can just pop this right out of the bag, a little warm water to thaw it a little bit, get the bag loosened, pop in your slow cooker from frozen on high for 6 to 8 hours, and give it a stir about halfway through. Everything should be good to go. So what I'm gonna do is cook this up. I'm gonna bring you back later when it's time to eat dinner, and I'm gonna serve it up with some rice. I'm gonna show you what it looks like.
Okay.
Well, there you have it. Our chicken and sausage gumbo has cooked all afternoon. This actually cooked very quickly, and because it had not previously been frozen and the meat was already thawed out, this really only took about 4 hours to cook, and then I turned it off because my slow cooker will keep things warm for a very long time. I cooked up some rice and we're ready to have dinner. Everything's in there. Your protein, your vegetable, and you just make the rice, and that's a complete meal. Now, the beauty of this, as I said at the very beginning of the video, was I'd like to call this a dual freezer meal, because you can create this in a bag, raw, put all of your ingredients and components and get that ready to cook later, put it in your freezer, pop it in your slow cooker on the day you're ready to make it, and then when you make this, this makes a lot. This makes enough for my family of 4 to eat 2 full dinners and then a couple of lunches out of that. This makes a lot. And when I make this, I like to share some with my father, who lives a couple of blocks away. He's a single guy. So it's nice to have this on hand. We can portion it out. We can put it in the freezer. People can take it for lunches. You know, you name it. Even if you're a single person, you can make a big pot of this. You can portion it out, pop it in your freezer, and you'll have this for several months. The beauty of this is after you cook it, you let it cool, you pop it in your containers, you freeze it again. This really holds up well. It doesn't get mushy, and the chicken stands up to the cooling and the freezing process even after it's cooked. So it's a dual freezer meal. I think it's really kind of a brilliant way to think things through, because isn't it nice to already have something in the freezer that's cooked up and ready to go? All you have to do is maybe pull it out in the morning, or even at the last minute. You can just pop this in a saucepan with a little water in the bottom and slowly heat this up over a low burner, and you're good to go. Cook up some rice and everybody's going to be happy. And I know that there are parts of the country right now that are getting a lot of bad winter weather, and wouldn't it be nice to already have these things available just to grab and go? Maybe you have to go stay somewhere else. You know, you want to take something that's home cooked. This is a great option. It's just really great to have stuff like this on hand, because you never ever know what's going to happen. So we know we love this. I know that we've shared this recipe with you in the past before, but I'm going to provide you with a recipe guide on how to create a freezer meal of this, and then how you can freeze it in advance, as well as freeze the leftovers and how long you can store them and reheat them for. So that's how you make my chicken and sausage gumbo into a freezer meal, into a dual freezer meal. I hope you give this a try, and I hope you love it. And until next time, I'll see ya.